Okay, so we're kind of seeing the comments come out here. We're seeing the interviews done, and I know we still have one more to go through. That's tomorrow. That'll be Mark Bergevin giving his entire update to Dvorak and KK and this entire thing, but we have ourselves what is one more angle that I really wanted to dive into in this video that we kind of highlighted in previous videos, but hadn't really gone into as deep of a dive that I would like to do in this video in the past. So with the KK offer sheet wrapping up yesterday, we have ourselves the newest Carolina Hurricane, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, third overall pick in the 2018 NHL Entry Draft. We noted yesterday how just astronomically weird it is to have the second and third overall picks in the same draft playing for the same team. What is this? San Jose, man? Thornton Marlowe 2.0? All that's left to do now is get Rasmus Dahlin from Buffalo, isn't there? But either way, if you take a look at just the on-paper numbers of everything, it's kind of funny, isn't it? Because Jesperi Kotkaniemi is now the third highest paid forward on the team. Actually, know what? If I'm looking at everything right here, he is the third highest paid player on the team, on the Carolina Hurricanes, his brand new NHL team, which offer sheeted him earlier a week ago. And if you just take a look at the raw numbers behind it, Jesperi Kotkaniemi is getting paid more money than Jordan Staal, Teuvo Teravainen, Nino Niederreiter, Vincent Trocheck, a whole bunch of guys over here. And most of them are guys that are already centers on this organization and are kind of the reasons why KK is not going to be able to play center. We had ourselves the comments made earlier today from Don Waddell, who said that, hey, the concerns that we had yesterday for KK in the videos talking about how he was going over to Carolina, they're coming true. He is going to be a winger on this team and not a center. You have Jordan Staal over there, you have Vincent Trocheck, you have a whole bunch of guys who are playing some pretty valuable center minutes on the Carolina Hurricanes, so much to the point that if you bring KK onto your team, you're either going to pay him as a third line or a fourth line center. And do you really want to be paying a $6.1 million AAV to a guy who is going to be playing on your fourth line? You already have Martin Necas, who is also a very capable, very young, and skilled NHL forward, so much so you could argue that he is more valuable than KK is at the moment. He's playing wing as well. You had to move him over to that position because there was already a logjam at center beforehand, so Jesperi Kotkaniemi, hey, you kind of feed into that a little bit. He's going over onto a winger spot too. But I wanted to explore this idea in particular here, and it's the whole monetary side of things, because KK himself is making $6.1 million a season, the Carolina Hurricanes have $0 in cap space, and you have yourselves what is a really big move that is actually going to allow the Carolina Hurricanes to get this thing done, where they play KK, it's all under the cap, and it's good. Don Waddell says that Jake Gardiner is having a major surgery and he will be on the LTIR this season, giving the Hurricanes the cap space to absorb Kotkaniemi's contract. Now, my question here is, if you kind of knew that Jake Gardiner could have been in this position where he could have had the surgery, he would have been placed on the LTIR, presumably for the whole season maybe, which is kind of how this reads to me, because if you're going to go out there and assume that you're going to be able to pay KK $6.1 million for a full calendar year, then you probably should have some form of a plan heading into that entire season, right? Assuming they knew about this entire move right here, Gardiner to the LTIR, you take a look at what his contract is right now. Jake Gardner's making $4.05 an AAV for the next 2 seasons. Could you not have just said, okay, maybe there is some room here to take a look at how this affects the other contracts we have? Because everybody likes to meme on the Hurricanes as to how they have navigated through this offseason. They lost Dougie Hamilton, who is a very capable NHL defender, to the New Jersey Devils. Sure, he's getting paid a lot of money right here by the New Jersey Devils. He's getting paid 8 years long, and his AAV is $9 million. I saw a whole bunch of Devils fans when the contract was signed, saying, hey, you know, we're in a position where we're comfortable paying that money to a guy who is 28 years old, who is really solid, and who can be a very strong number one defender for our team. However, you had a lot of Carolina Hurricanes fans saying, man, I like Dougie Hamilton. He was great for us. 42 points, 55 games played. You cannot go wrong with that. But $9 million, hey, that's pretty steep right there. You had yourselves also Alex Nedeljkovic, whom you expected to becoming your number one starter in the future because you developed him for so long in the system ever since he was drafted earlier on in, 2014? He finally made the team full-time this season. He was a Calder runner-up, and you traded him away to the Detroit Red Wings because you had contract negotiations go down. You weren't comfortable in paying him the amount of money that he was asking for. And guess what? You traded him to Detroit for Jonathan Bernier. You had yourselves a pick as well. Bernier walked, so you essentially lost out. A goaltender who was going out there putting up a .932 in 23 games played. You lost him for a small draft pick. I gotta ask you there, Carolina Hurricanes fans, because the money for KK was pretty big. $6 million, that's a lot of money. And the qualifying offer for next season, we already noted this, but if it was Montreal negotiating that contract, it would have been $6.1 million as a starting point, flat. If it's Carolina, there is indeed a little bit of a different process over there. It's not going to be as big, but it will still be in a pretty sizable amount of territory right there, which could be seen as a good thing or a bad thing depending on how good KK plays for your club next season. The thing is with KK, he is absolutely not guaranteed to being as good as you want him to be. Montreal Canadiens fans saw him for the past 3 seasons, and sure, he impressed in his first year as an 18-year-old, as the youngest player to suit up in the NHL that season, as the first player born in the 2000s to play in the Big Four sports leagues, the NHL, the NBA, the NFL, and the MLB too. That's absolutely phenomenal, and his first year was fantastic in Montreal. But I'd be lying if I said that he progressed in the way people wanted him to after that. Sure, his shooting percentage in the playoffs was great, but that was about it. There is no guarantee for KK to go out there and become a $6 million player next season. Now, is it possible for him to do that? I've said this entire time. Yes, it is, but it's not guaranteed. Therefore, this is a bet the Carolina Hurricanes are taking. They're putting it upon themselves. And they're trying to insist to us that this isn't just a big meme that they tried to do for revenge against Montreal and Marc Bergevin. My question, though, is this. You're paying KK 6.1. Would you not have felt more comfortable saying to Alex Nedeljkovic, of all people, hey, we're giving you under $3 million as a contract offer? What if we took an extra $1 million from Jesperi Kotkaniemi and said, okay, here you go, Nedeljkovic. Here's a contract worth just over $3 million. You have to remember, in reality, Nedeljkovic signed a $3 million AAV flat deal with the Red Wings. Had he gotten something in that territory with Carolina, he might have stayed. You would have been able to keep this guy. You wouldn't have traded him for a goalie and Bernier and a draft pick, only to have that goaltender leave your team, meaning you wouldn't have had to sign Freddie Anderson, who was going out there demanding a boatload of money anyway. He's making $4.5 million. Take the cap savings you would have had if you just signed Nedeljkovic to a $3-point-something million deal. You did not offer sheet KK, you didn't sign Freddie Anderson, and you say, okay, we have these extra funds here, why don't we try to use these to keep Hamilton around? You wanted to go out there, you signed Tony DeAngelo. Great. Controversial move, I get that, but still, it's a move that you decided to make. Maybe you keep DeAngelo around, he's only making $1 million, but you keep Hamilton too. Is there a way that this Carolina Hurricanes team looks better by not offer sheeting Jesperi Kotkaniemi, not getting that $6.1 million contract, not having to rely on a new goaltender in Freddie Anderson because you knew that Jake Gardiner was going to go on the LTIR anyways, which would have allowed you to use that extra money to get KK in the first place. You lost out on Nedeljkovic, you lost out on Hamilton. These are two very important NHL players, and to me, It's kind of weird how you let him go for nothing. Hamilton, literally for nothing. Nedeljkovic, you just got a third-round pick in return, and a goaltender that walked. So, for Jesperi Kotkaniemi, I said it a week ago, the Carolina Hurricanes, it kind of feels like they're trolling themselves with this entire situation here. But talk to me in the comments, what do you think? Am I correct? Do I have a point here in this entire Carolina Hurricanes money mismanagement ordeal? Is this just Tom Dundon going out there and letting his emotions get the best out of him? Talk to me in the comments what you think. I hope you enjoyed this Mr. 99. And bye.